February the 15th, 2016. Will you join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would, before roll call, would you please silence your cell phones? They could be noisy enough later anyway. So if you would silence your cell phones, we would be good. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore? Here. Mrs. Piper? Here. Mr. Self?
Here.
Mr. Shelbar? Here. Mrs. Voorhees?
Thank you, Mr. Davis. At this time, reception of the public. Mr. Lord or Mr. Scott?
Steve Stewart will have a statement for CEA.
Okay. Mr. Stewart?
Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity to express the feelings of the CEA. As you can see, there's quite a few of us here tonight. We would like to make it clear that we are remaining positive about the progress that's been made. However, we're still looking forward to continue discussions and accomplishing goals that are satisfactory with our members. Our members remain committed to reaching a mutual agreement. As I've said before, our goals are pretty simple, and all along they have been: one, to have a district that invests tax dollars back into the classroom in order to educate our students; two, to invest in education that prepares Salina students for a successful and meaningful future; and the third, probably the most important, is to retain and attract highly qualified teachers, which competes with neighboring communities for the sake of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mrs. Henderson, would you care to comment to the board?
I don't have anything right now, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Okay, we're going to check the sign-in sheet here and see if anybody has, if anyone is signed in, you're welcome to come up, address the board. Mr. Ursher.
I'll just speak from here if that's all right.
That's fine, sure.
Okay. I guess, one, obviously, both sides would like to see something happen, and I know that. One of the questions that I have is, what are the roadblocks that we're facing, not just today, but going forward in years to come, that we can overcome to get the pay scale on par with some of the top communities around here? I know that there's financial issues. I know that you have maintenance issues in the building. But what are some of the things that the board has looked at that we can do that may be differently, whether it's levies, whether it's whatever, that you have, I don't know if you've had time as a group to communicate with having 3 new members as far as what you feel that you may do differently going forward to put financially in a better position.
Thank you for your question. Anybody? I guess my response would be, and I'll be very brief, that I know that at least the 3 new board members, and I'm sure that the existing board members feel the same way, they share the sentiment, are looking at any way that we could increase our revenue. And at the same time, are there expenditures that are unnecessary that we can in some way cut without paying any services to any students or anyone in the district? And we've been diligently looking at that. And I can tell you that.
Is there anything going forward specifically that you feel that you know has to happen to get into a position? Now, that may be 2 years from now, that could be 4 years
Part of it is, you know, we all have our thoughts and ideas on what we want to do and where we want to go. We need to spend a little time and collectively come up with our plans and something that's going to be reasonable and that works. I know, I think the biggest thing we need to get done is obviously with the attendance we have here is get this out of our road and take a look at where we can move, you know, down the road. I think, yeah, we've got to look at possible revenue increases and wherever we can get those without, you know, going out and say, well, hey, we're raising taxes or anything like that. I think we need to look inside and like Bill said, and see if there are some areas we can cut. I know from my perspective as a past administrator here, we've got a lot of new people that are in that role now. I think I can offer them some thoughts and ideas based on what we've done in the past. And I think there's a little bit of revenue there we can pick up. But like I said, first and foremost is getting this solved with the teachers. And then we start talking about other revenue ideas and thoughts.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the two principal sources of income are, of course, property taxes and then that small income tax, 0.75. And we need to increase our revenue stream somehow. Anyone else?
I'm sorry, Mr. Stoll, when did we have that discussion?
No. I was speaking about the three of us that were just recently elected.
The three of you have had meetings on your own?
Just discussion.
Not together.
Well, I think it might be appropriate that all five of us have a discussion with one thing like that behind the general public. Until it's decided. That's news to me, right here. What do you think about 0.75 or whatever?
That's the existing income tax. I was just stating how much we make right now from the existing income tax.
But you both,
That's just part of our revenue stream. Anyone else?
I would appreciate being involved in this discussion.
Okay. Kenzie Yoder. Oh, Kenzie, we need your address. So we're going to send you a little thank you note for coming in. But we actually do for the minutes.
It's 517 North Mill Street, Salina, Ohio.
Thank you.
That's my local address. I actually don't live in Salina anymore. I live in Tiffin right now, but I still retain a permanent residence here in Salina. I don't have anything written down, so I'm mostly speaking from the heart, and this was kind of a last minute thing, but I decided to come talk. So, some of you don't know, most of you know who I am, or I think most of you, I had a lot of you in school. So, my name's Kenzie Yoder. I'm a 2010 graduate of Salina City Schools. I guess some of you might look up here and think, you know, she's 24 years old and I'm trying to explain things to a bunch of adults, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this because I'm not. But all I can talk about is sometimes I think age doesn't matter, but experiences do. And the first thing I want to talk about is my experiences here at Salina and the quality of our teachers. I encountered this right away when I got to college. I went to Ohio Northern University, which is an amazing university for anyone who doesn't know. It's located in Ada, Ohio, and it's very prestigious. And once you graduate, your diploma means a lot from there. And I had fellow students in my first year and second year classes, and then all throughout college when I tutored other students who were nowhere near as prepared for college level courses as I was when I walked in those doors. And then it continued to go on. I don't just speak from my experiences with my peers, I speak from them from an educator standpoint as well. My degree is a bachelor's of education. I'm a licensed teacher, 7 through 12 in English. And I went to 10 or 12 different schools throughout my 4 years at Ohio Northern for field experience. And each one of those, I was in a high school or middle school, and I was in the school 2 to 3 times a week, working with students, mostly on English. I did a little history at the beginning. But I can tell you that I think a lot of people make assumptions that good teachers come a dime a dozen, and they definitely don't. Good teachers are very hard to find, and they were not in many of the schools. I would maybe put one of the 12 schools I visited on the same caliber that I put Salina City schools. I guess that's one thing I want to make sure I do while I'm up here. I had a lot of you in this room when I was here, and I'm forever grateful and appreciate very much the education I got from Salina. I guess the reason I'm here is some of you are like thinking, why does it matter anymore? I don't live here anymore, and I'm probably not going to come back. But I have a beautiful niece and nephew. We're going to go through these school systems, and I really pray that they can say what I just said when they graduate. And right now, I don't think they'll be able to if it fits into me. So, back to, I guess, more logistical things. I was a graduate of ONU last year, and I found myself with a big decision to make. I either had to decide to be a college coach, or I had to decide to come back and be an educator in the school. My decision with my parents, boyfriend, and friends was the only way I would teach is if I could do it back at Salina. And as you can see, some of you don't know this, but I'm an assistant coach at Heidelberg University. And the reason I chose that is because when you're a graduate, and some of you on the board know this and some of you may not, when you're a graduate with an education degree, you're told to look at 3 things. The first thing you're told to do is find any teachers in an area you're interested in, speak with them on their opinion of how they're backed by their school board and how they're backed by their community. And if you get negative feedback, do not go there. So that's one. Number 2 is to look at the retention rate of teachers. And that's huge. If other teachers aren't staying there, you don't want to stay there either. And the third thing that you're told to look at is the salary of teachers. Nowadays, college is a huge investment for students our age. And if you can't get a return on that investment, so in layman's terms, I guess, if I can't pay off my big load of student loans, then I can't go teach at that school. So last year when I was faced with the decision of becoming an educator or staying in the college level for coaching, I was saddened by the fact that I couldn't come back to Salina because none of those 3 things were true anymore. We don't retain teachers. We don't get paid as much as anybody in our area, really. And then the last one, I have some friends that don't speak badly of Salina, but they don't feel like they're always backed by our board. And as an educator, I went to my career services center, and they helped me with these decisions. And I talked to my fellow students who are looking for teaching jobs as well. And there are other teachers in this area who got to go back home in St. Mary's and Wapak and different schools in Mercer County. They got to go back to their home school because they can say yes to all 3 of those things. And I was very saddened by the fact that I couldn't. So that's... In closing, I just really hope that this rift can be solved soon because the only reason I have the professional job that I do with influencing young lives every day with my athletes, and the only reason that I'm able to come up here and speak and have confidence to do that is because of the education I received from many of the teachers in this room. And I hope that someday my niece and nephew can stand up here and do the same thing.
Thank you. There was a person that came in late that didn't get a chance to sign. Would you want to speak from there and give your name and address, or we'll just feel free? Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm Jan Hurdle.
Thank you,
My
Jan.
address is 8th Street, Salina. I really just have a question. Is it possible for this whole room of people to be told what the offer is and what they want in terms of the negotiations?
I don't think that the board is supposed to do that. I think
If you look at the OSBA, one of the flyer, and what I said at our Meet the Candidates night, one of the things that remains confidential with board and teachers is negotiations. And that's one thing I'm not gonna do.
I think that, Jan, if the leadership of the association, if they want to share what the offer was, I think that that's up to them. And, okay.
So how do we know?
Well, in all fairness, would you not want to also know what their request is to look at that? That's what she said. I missed that. I missed that.
I'd like to know what they were offering and what their request is.
And there's a big part of me that wishes that I could say it right here and tell you. But again, I just don't think it would be appropriate since negotiations are still going on. And we hope that they're over soon, and I think they will be. But I don't think that we're allowed to say it from up here. Mr. Davis, do you concur? You agree with that?
That's your decision, Mr. Sell. I would be honest with you, Mrs. Hurdle, I would love to tell you what our offer is.
Okay.
I would love to.
Go ahead.
Well,
I think you'll have ethics commission, we'll kind of all like down
yeah. I don't know. Okay, does anybody else wish to address the board? Like I said, I know that there were a lot of people right at the doorway, right at 6 o'clock, and you didn't get a chance to come up and sign, so usually you have to sign up to be on the agenda, but if anyone wants to address the board, and, yes, sir, you already did, but go ahead.
Sorry. I do have one question, since it was kind of brought up, is when, as far as the board, how often do you, I don't mean, because you're new, you've been on the board for a long time, how often do you get together? I mean, are these board meetings usually a time for you to sit down and discuss things as a group?
Yes.
Okay, versus this scenario?
If we went to uptown, if we went to CJ's, and there were 3 of us, that would technically be illegal because of the sunshine law. That would constitute a majority.
If we spoke about it.
That's right. But I think it would probably generate some suspicion if we were just sitting in there, you know.
Technically, we can meet every day of the week, it's a public meeting.
Right.
I wasn't sure how often, if you got together outside of the board meetings, or if it was just after.
And we do, I mean, as far as phone calls and texts and emails and things like that, we've been discussing some things. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Nancy Wallace, Lyon, Ohio. The question the lady had there about what if the mouth is supposed to count or whatever.
Could you speak up, please, Nancy? Sorry.
The question the lady had about what has been offered and back and forth, haven't you guys already posted on the school board website?
That was withdrawn, and that was a different time of negotiations. There was something different there than what is the latest proposals were, as I understand. Anyone else? Any from the board wish to address any of these? Okay. Let's go on with wherever we are. I think we need a motion to set the agenda.
There's a motion to set the agenda when there's not a consent agenda.
Well, we still need to,
Set the agenda, yeah.
even though. Okay.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion to set the agenda. Mrs. Shellwater, seconded by Mrs. Voorhees. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shellwater?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sell?
Yes. Treasurer's report, Mr. Davis.
The first item on my report is to approve the minutes of the January 25th, 2016 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Sell?
Yes.
Mr. Shellwater?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
The second item is to approve the checks written for January 2016 of $3,074,972.80.
Questions or comments? None? Second, please. Thank you. Motion's by Mrs. Voorhees, seconded by Mr. Schellenberg. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sell?
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberg?
Yes.
Approved January revenues and expenditures. Total revenues for January were $2,085,328. Total expenditures were $3,067,269.03.
Question, Mr. Davis, could you explain why expenditures exceed revenue?
We did not receive as much revenue for the month as we did in expenditures.
Okay. I guess since there's a lot of people here, would you explain how that can be?
Is there a motion before the discussion?
I'm sorry.
Is there a motion before the discussion?
There has to be a discussion before the vote. Okay. We want to make a motion this way.
I'll make, go ahead.
Motion to accept the figure. Thank you. Roll call,
Well, we do the
please. Discussion.
Typically, the way revenues work for the school district is we take in monies from different sources. And those would include the state foundation money from the state of Ohio, property taxes, income taxes. We have grants from the federal government that we receive revenues for. And then we have things such as our cafeteria receives payments from the students for that. That we also get book fees. You name it, basically you name it, it's a revenue, including fundraisers and all of those type things we do with the students. Typically, we only have 4 months out of the year where revenues will exceed expenditures. Those are the 4 months we receive the property taxes in. Those are July, August, February, and March. Other than that, the other 8 months, we will typically see expenditures outpace revenue.
Mr. Davis, when do we get the foundation money from the state?
Bi-monthly.
And Mr. Stone, one of my very first questions coming on board years ago, why? Why do we spend more than we do in it? And if you go back and look at the minutes from years and years, it's almost every month.
Yep, 8 months out of 12 is usually this way.
And the foundation money is $5,900 per student.
Times our state share, which is 46.3%.
Okay. Times roughly 2,000 students.
2,700.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other questions? Yeah, we need a roll call.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper? Mr. Sell?
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberg?
Yes.
To approve the investments for the period, the balance as of February 8, 2016 is $11,389,156.97. Those funds that are invested include all of the funds of the district, including the general fund, bond retirement, permanent improvement, TriStar, capital reserve, severance fund, all of the student funds, and all of the extracurricular funds we have.
We'll need a motion before discussion if there's any.
Be accepted.
Second, Mr. Gilmore, seconded by Mr. Schellenberg. Roll call.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sell?
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Mr. Davis, can you roll roughly how much we have in permanent improvement?
That fund is about $495,000 right now. $500,000.
chief source of income for permanent improvement?
The TIP funds, the TIP generated tax funds, about 250,000 a year.
And that is in essence property tax that the city of Salina signed off on, so it would go to the school district.
Correct.
Anyone else, any further discussion or questions? Okay.
Item 5 is to approve the SM2 for January 2016. This details the profit and loss of our general fund. One item I would like to point out to the board is that fiscal year to date excess revenue over expenditures is a negative $745,563. The ending cash balance as of January 2016 for the general fund, $7,841,764.
Motion to accept.
So,
I'll second.
Okay, so what you're saying is, clarify this, we are spending $745,000 more than we have fiscally year-to-date.
We have expended $745,000 more than we've taken in revenue through January 2016.
Okay, all right.
And so the first collections will be March and April.
February and March for property tax.
Okay, and then we haven't received the property tax in February either.
We've received 2 advance payments.
Further discussion? Can you tell us approximately what payroll constitutes per month?
In dollars?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was dollars or percents. You have to, I think in accounting terms, so.
You're an accountant.
Let's see. Expenditures for January under personnel services was $1,211,249. And then we paid out $611,445 in friend benefits. So a little over 1.8 million.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shalabarger.
yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper. Mr. Self.
Yes.
Number 6, acceptance of a donation of $10,000 from the Mercer County Civic Foundation for the middle school DC trip.
That was Mr. Gilmore and Mrs. Voorhees, I believe. Discussion?
With these donations, Nick, would it be appropriate, could we just combine them all?
We're allowed.
If we're allowed to?
This isn't a consensus agenda, therefore each item will need to be voted on separately.
Nick, this is the same anonymous donor that we have every year kick in money to
I
help the
believe
kids.
so. We don't get any further indication other than the Mercer County Civic Foundation.
But this, I mean, this has been an ongoing thing in years past. We have a benefactor out there who has set up a fund.
Yes.
And a letter of appreciation is always sent to them, I do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Correct.
Through the Civic Foundation.
Do you know how much the $10,000 pays in percentage-wise for the student cost? Does this cover half of their cost?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Probably not based on the numbers of it. Or has this Franklin did.
Yeah.
I don't see this as us.
This is us, it's not us.
And I believe it's used for larger scholarships for more disadvantaged students.
Okay.
It's also used to defray the overall cost for all.
No, that's a great thing, we're still at. Roll call.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sal?
Yes.
Mr. Shalabarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Number 7, acceptance of a donation of $1,125 from the Mercer County Civic Foundation for the Dayton Children's Hospital trip.
Motion to accept.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore? Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Is this the one that involves, Mrs. Ball and her, the toy collection at Christmas time when they take down to the hospital?
I believe so.
Is she here?
Mrs. Ball, are you?
Is this it?
By the way, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And also, you raise other things besides, I mean, you collect toys and clothes, food.
Yes, this is Renee Kramer, somewhere in here, and I every year, this year it was over 2015 toys, I think, that we took on this year, so thank you to everybody that donated.
That's a good deal.
Each year.
Thank you. Renee, wherever you are.
Number 8, acceptance of a donation of $1,055 from the Mercer County Civic Foundation for the Chicago Gifted Trip.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Questions or comments regarding this? That's not the total expense for the trip, I would imagine.
No, that just covers their hotel cost.
Okay. And how many students?
22 this year,
This is elementary gifted program,
grade 5.
grade 5. Thank you. Further discussion?
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Number 9, acceptance of a donation of $701.21 from Mercer County Civic Foundation for the Teens Ohio Northern Trip.
I'll move acceptance.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Mr. Shepherd. Can someone tell me what teams is?
It's a test of engineering and aptitude, math, and science. It's an engineering competition.
And have we already have we had the competition?
No, it's first week in March.
Is this the same thing as Jets?
Yes, that's what it used to be.
Okay.
Juniors and seniors?
No, 9, 12,
How many students?
32.
Is this an overnight thing?
No. Day school day.
Anyone else? Thank you. Roll call please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Acceptance of a donation of $634.08 from Mercer County Civic Foundation for the Freedom Center Cincinnati trip.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
And the, I'm gonna guess the Freedom Center trip was probably something with the high school social studies department.
Civil rights class.
It's, I'm sorry,
Civil rights class.
okay, and an American history of government class, Civil War history class. How many students?
About 22.
So you had enough money to have lunch?
Did you like it?
I did. Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call please.
Mr. Shelbarger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore? Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sal?
Yes. So I had to pay $20 for that. Let's continue please to number 11.
Number Number 11, acceptance of the donation of materials valued at $4,585 from Salina Band Boosters in memorial of Jason Hone to the Salina Band program.
Mr. Sellers here.
Yes.
Comment, sir.
Sure. As after Jason passed last spring, his parents set up they asked that all donations be made, in memory of him to Salina High School Bands, and that we purchase something with those funds that would impact a large number of students, and that would be something that we wouldn't normally just, buy, that we wouldn't just in the normal course of what we do, like a piece of music or something. And so we, after a lot of discussion and research, decided on a technology suite for the band room that includes recording equipment, an iMac computer with digital studio quality recording capabilities, as well as software that integrates with like our music theory software, for example, that we use on our iPads. I can now, students can create, works, the assignments, and just share them right in class. I can edit them together as a group. We work together, and we can talk about, see how this works, see how this didn't work. They go back, edit some more. We do these things in general. They can play them back in class through the sound system that was also a part of this package. And so this was, this was the final product of that.
Good. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Mr. Schellenbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes. Moving right along, Mr. Davis.
Approval of the 2016 calendar year activity budget for the high school scholastic team.
We don't need an amount on that one?
No, the budget is an attachment.
Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Yes. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenbarger.
Yes.
Number 13, approval of the 2016 calendar year activity budget for the Spanish Club.
I move that we accept that.
Second.
I'll second. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Discussion. Roll call, please, Ms. Davis.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenbarger.
Yes.
Recommend the designation of American Express rebate funds to be deposited in the activity account for the Wellness Committee.
Second.
Someone real quick tell us is the Wellness Committee for faculty, I think.
Correct.
Okay.
Kim, would you be willing to kind of give us an overview of what these funds do for us compared to the other schools in the consortium?
It gives us the ability to have incentives, to get the wellness program up and going, get people moving, get them thinking about their nutrition, try to get our insurance costs down or to stay at a decent rate for us. So we're the only district in our consortium that has this ability with these funds. Everybody else has to either raise funds on their own or do without type of funds. But we have incentives. For example, this spring we have a 10-week, 12-week program going on. It's a little wellness challenge. They have to complete so much cardio, so much strength training, so much preventive care that is paid for 100% of our, at 100% by our consortium, which is social things that they might do, that just everything, tries to hit all sorts, every area of their wellness. And at the end, those who complete that, will get their names in, drawn for raffles, for prizes, some decent level of money. Then, if they do that, and also we push them for a health fair, which the consortium wants them to participate in. Every spring we have a health fair where we come in, we do the blood tests and the heights and weights and risk assessments and all that kind of stuff, which the consortium uses to see where our risks might be and our money might be going in the future, and how we can get those levels, those down. So it's just all to get, it's just a full wellness package that we have the ability to really push. And I think it's really a morale booster too. I think most people in this building, we have 265 staff members participating in this current challenge. Trying to fill out more, and we do something brand new fall. We do something monthly, little awareness things to get their awareness. This is your prostate exam, National Prostate Exam Month. If you're over 40, go get it, and those kind of things. And it's just we do a monthly raffle. It's just very beneficial and makes it very easy for us. We have maybe 15 committee members that are teachers, and nurses, administrative, cafeteria workers, bus garage, everybody has an input to drive this committee. And so it's just kind of it just helps us get these people moving, and then we'll help you.
Well, in the future, please invite board members to participate. And Mr. Davis, how much does that affect our premium?
I would say, I don't know if it can actually be quantified how much that affects the premium, but I think it's shown we haven't gone up nearly as much over the last couple of years since we've done this program.
Right, that's a hard number to really forecast, although typically they say for every $1 spent in that care, you save $5 in the end. Can't give you the resource for that, but that's the number that's out there.
Could I see how many wellness participants we have in here? Two of these guys.
It's by the consortium. It's the consortium, which is our insurance, runs over self-insurance, runs our insurance, and keeps those costs down. They want this kind of thing moving so that, we can identify where our risks might be. We get reports, nurses get reports, schools get reports every year where high risks are for our school district and for the consortium, because we're all in it together. So Salina said, head of all the other schools in the 2 county districts.
Good.
Because of that. And I thank you and I love it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mrs. Piper? Aye. Mr. Purcell? Yes. Mr. Schellenberger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees? Resolution to amend the permanent appropriation for Fund 516, IDA, B, Special Education, to go from $624,784.23 to $657,092.10. That is because we got extra money in from, basically what they do is they look at all the money left over for the program from the prior year, and then they have to reallocate that to the districts. So we received some additional funds from 516.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Voorhees. And quick question, this money is given to us from the federal government to the state, to us? Any discussion or question? Roll call, please.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Is that in your report, Mr. Davis?
It does.
Thank you. Mr. Giesecke, your own, sir.
Item 1, under personnel, recommend the approval of Deborah Mullenkamp as a substitute for the remainder of this school year.
Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Gilmore, second by Mr. Schellenberger. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
May continue, sir.
Recommend approval, item 2, of Paula Messner Rothus as a substitute for the remainder of this school year, 2015-16.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Anybody have a comment or question about that?
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Item 3, recommend the approval of the change of contract for Rosemary Felber, cafeteria manager at the middle school. She's requesting 1/2 deduct day. That's listed in our attachment A.
Motion to accept. Motion by Mrs. Voorhees, seconded by
Me.
Mr. Schellenberger. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Item 4, recommend the approval of a change of contract for Emily Walker, library aide at the primary school. She's requesting 4 deduct days, and that's under attachment B.
Without pulling up attachment B, is it a medical situation?
Vacation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Motion.
I would believe so.
There's a motion to accept by Mrs. Voorhees. I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Item 5, recommend the approval of a change of contract for Jody Miller, teacher assistant at the elementary school. She's requesting 3 deduct days, and that's under attachment C.
I'll second that. I think this might include a marriage. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Item 6, recommend the approval of a 6-day probationary contract for Melinda Kaiser, Head Start Bus Aide.
So moved. I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
And then the last item, number 7, recommend the approval of a 6-day probationary contract for Kelly Gillis, Head Start cafeteria worker.
I would really accept that.
Seconded by Mr. Gilmore. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Giesecke. Dr. Schmiesen, your report, sir.
Thank you. First, under personnel, recommend approval of Kristen Fueling as a teacher substitute for the 2015-2016 school year.
I will make a motion.
I will second.
Discussion. Since we're already well into the school year, is she just now joining the staff?
As a substitute through the ESC.
Okay. Question. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Number 2, recommend approval of Lisa Bergman as a teacher substitute for the 2015-16 school year.
I move that we accept it.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Number 3, recommend approval of Gabriel Cabanillas as a teacher substitute for the 2015-2016 school year.
So moved.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Schellenberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
The L's are pronounced like E's in Spanish. Cabanillas.
Cabanillas.
Cabanillas, yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Number 4, recommend approval of a change of contract for Eric Dwanger. He's a computer tech at the middle school. request one deduct day for May 20th, 2016. I've got a friend getting married over at Lake Tahoe.
There was a motion for Mr. Gilmore and seconded by, okay. Motion by Mr. Gilmore and seconded by Mrs. Voorhees. Mr. Dwenger, good luck and have fun.
Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper. Aye. Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Number 5, recommend approval of a change of contract for Callie Keck, 5th grade teacher at CIS. She's requesting one deduct day for Wednesday, February 24th, expecting that her son will again go to state in diving.
Is Mrs. Keck in here? Do we know? We don't know yet. Okay, but we're being optimistic. There we go.
I move that we accept that.
Motion to accept, I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Number 6, recommend approval to accept the resignation of Jennifer Smith as the 8th grade softball coach effective January 17th, 2016. She states due to health reasons.
Motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
Second, please. Second by Mr. Gilmore. Roll call.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes. Do we have a replacement for that?
I believe that's coming up later in the agenda.
Okay.
Number 7, recommend approval to accept the resignation of Jeff Kerr, JV softball coach, effective January 25th for personal reasons.
I'll make a motion to accept that. Could I have a second, please? Mrs. Voorhees, roll call.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Number 8, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Corey Orange, elementary school principal, for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye.
Mr. Schmeezing, principal's contracts are typically 3 years?
First one's usually 2, and then we will go to 3 after successful 4 years.
Okay. Continue, please.
Number 9, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Michelle Duncan, primary school principal, 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Voorhees, second that. And is Mrs. Duncan here? How long has she been principal?
At least 12 years.
10 years? Okay. Further discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Biggs.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Number 10, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Dean Giesecke, assistant superintendent, for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Can I ask, what is this, the certification required for this is a superintendent's certification?
The assistant superintendent.
But it's the same certification?
There's a few more hours to take to go from assistant to superintendent license.
Okay. And Mr. Giesecke, currently you're working under how long of a contract? Is this a year-long, 2-year-long contract?
Currently, this is my 3rd year of the 3 year.
Okay. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Number 11, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Keith Budorf, technology director, for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
I'll second that. Mr. Gudorf, how long have you been technology director?
5 years.
And your contracts are typically 3 years?
This will be my second 3-year contract.
Discussion? You keep us running. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Number 12, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Marcia Helen Jarvis, TriStar Career Development Coordinator for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
I will make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Discussion? Mrs. Helen Jarvis? Roll call, please.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Number 13, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Mr. Phil Metz, high school principal for 3 years, beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
You're currently in your 3rd year of contract, Phil. This is your first contract as principal.
Yes.
And you've been with the Salina District for
7 years.
I'll make a motion to accept. Seconded by Mr. Gilmore. Further discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Number 14, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Mr. Brian Stetler, Assistant TriStar Director for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
Where's Mr. Stetler? Okay.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gilmore. I was going to ask him how long he's been in the district, but roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Number 15, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Kim Sutter, Transportation Director for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Number 16, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Kelly Toby, Assistant Principal at the Primary School for 3 years, beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
Motion by Mr. Gilmore, I'll second that motion. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Number 17, recommend approval of an administrative contract for Beth Burrott, psychologist, for 3 years beginning August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019.
See, here's where I'm going to ask a question before I make a motion. And that's part-time, correct?
No, sir. That would be a full-time.
I'll make the motion.
Has Mrs. Farad, is this a retiree hire, Mr. Schmidt?
No, this is not.
Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Number 18, recommend approval of a supplemental contract for Tyler Folks, Middle School Assistant Track Coach for the 2015-16 school year. Note the compensation for supplemental contracts will be determined according to the new negotiated contract for years of experience.
Mr. Fox here. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Motion by Mrs. Voorhees, second by Mr. Schallenberg. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schallenberg?
Yes.
Number 19, recommend approval of a supplemental contract for Chris Anto, middle school assistant track coach for the 2015-16 school year. Same note as the previous agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Number 20, recommend approval of a supplemental contract for Pete Lisi, middle school assistant track coach for the 2015-2016 school year.
Where's Mr. Lucy?
Over here.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper. Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Number 21, recommend approval of a change of pupil activity program contract for Don Vanderhorst from head 7th grade softball to head 8th grade softball effective for the 2015-2016 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Shalbarger, seconded by Mr. Gilmore. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes. 23.
22, recommend approval of pupil activity program contract for Frank Tangeman, head 7th grade softball for the 2015-2016 school year.
Motion by Mrs. Voorhees. I'll second that. Thank you, Mr. Tangeman. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Number 23, recommend approval of Ellison Braun, JV girls softball for pupil activity program contracts for the 2015-2016 school year.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Number 24, recommend approval of pupil activity program contract for Gabriel Cabanillas. Percussion. It is halftime for the 2015-2016 school year.
Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Number 25, recommend approval of Scott Sudoff, softball volunteer for the 2015-2016 school year.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Number 26, recommend approval of Travis Chilcote, softball volunteer for the 2015-2016 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees. Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Number 27, recommend approval of Justin Monfort, wrestling volunteer for the 2015-2016 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gilmore. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees. Mr. Gilmore. Aye. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Several resolutions, Mr. Dr. Schmidt.
The first resolution, recommend approval of a moratorium for all Salina City Schools sponsored extracurricular activities from Saturday, July 2nd, 2016 through Sunday, July 10th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Is this the typical dates that we always do? Yes. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shalbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Number 2, recommend approval of the athletic pay schedule with the addition of ticket sales auditor for varsity football at $25 per night.
Are we currently not, I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Are we currently not doing this?
We did it this football season. It was the first time that Mr. Fortcamp had put it in place. Essentially what we do is the ticket sales people are actually counting the other person's drawer now to make sure that that matches up with what the other person says was in their drawer at the end of the evening. That process was previously done by the athletic director, but Mr. Forkamp thought it'd be a better use of his time to actually be out in the stadium during the game instead of underneath counting dollars for the tickets.
So to do that too.
Yeah.
Motion to accept.
You've already got the motion.
Oh, we got it.
Do they then turn the money into Mr. Forkamp and he thanks it, or?
Correct. Once they turn it in, the game's completed, Mr. Forkamp takes that to the bank at the end of the evening, puts it in the night deposit box at the bank.
So it's gonna cost us $125 a year for that.
Let's see.
Times two?
Be 50 times 5. There's 2 of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so did he implement this with, I guess that's the next motion, never mind.
Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mr. Sell.
Yes.
Mr. Shellenbarger.
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees. Mr. Gilmore. Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Number 3, recommend approval to retroactively pay the ticket sales auditors for the 2015-16 football season. That would be Kim Crone for 5 games, Angie Stoner 4 games, Diane Boer for 1 game.
Move we accept.
Second.
Okay, here's my question. Did Mr. Is Jeff here?
Jeff Forkamp, are you around? Nope.
Been implemented with the understanding they would get paid for it, or please just do this for this year, we'll see where it goes?
He initially did it with the expectation that they would get paid. It hadn't been approved on the athletic pay scale. When he turned that into payroll, they notified him of that issue, and we have retroactively had him put it on for the board to approve.
So did he just not know where to put them?
Correct.
Because it's essentially a new thing.
Right, I think he was originally gonna just count that as part of the ticket taker and just pay them twice for being a ticket taker. That didn't exactly fit what they did, so we needed to put something on to describe the detail of what job they were actually doing.
Gotcha. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore.
Aye.
Mrs. Piper.
Aye.
Mr. Sal.
Yes.
Mr. Shellenbarger.
Yes.
We're at TriStar.
TriStar, no report tonight. Head Start has the attachments. Moving on to other business, we recommend to follow the contract and not approve the leave of absence request from Julie Rhodes, Head Start teacher assistant. That was tabled at last meeting, so that would first have to be untabled prior to our making a motion.
I move we untable the issue.
Is that so we can discuss it, or so that we vote?
So,
Wow, this is late.
you gotta bring it back up.
I'll second the motion to untable.
I'll use the second, and I'm,
As I understand, and correct me, Mrs. Henderson, that you're really asking for a month extension.
Yes, originally it was till the end of the school year, but in her discussions with her doctor on that, from her surgery, she is progressing better than what she was doing. So now she is currently asking for an extension of 1 month, which would make it March 16th, it was when she goes to the doctor at 11 o'clock. And she said that at that point in time, if all is going well, that she would be released to come back to work, then she would come back to work. If not, then she would hand in a resignation to Dr. Kim.
Okay.
but is that part of her original request that we looked at last month?
Don't think so.
The original plan last month was to the end of the year, and the doctor had put a letter in stating for 1 year. But her request was to the end of the school year. That was her request of last month.
And that's what we tabled.
That's what
That
you tabled,
request.
that's correct.
That's what we're bringing back.
Gotcha.
So
And
we need to vote down the original request and then we can consider.
which is not enforced.
Well,
Am I following?
yes, but I just want to clarify, if we vote down her original request, which is asking for a lengthy extension, can we then act upon a month extension? I would agree with and support.
I believe we can, but we should only have it pass again. Just for that month, we have no documentation other than what we received last month. So she would just need to, yeah, another letter asking for a month extension.
Would it be just as easy to leave the table? Would it be just as easy to leave this issue tabled?
Well, the recommendation then is to follow the contract and not the original request.
Currently, the motion on the table is to untable this. If we were to vote that down, then it would still be tabled.
Mrs. Henderson, further comment? Do you understand kind of this quandary?
I just got confused in that last. I was following until.
Okay. Dr. Schmidt, explain that last part.
Currently, the motion on the floor is to untable the item. So if we were, if you five were to vote not to untable it or to turn this motion down, then the motion would remain tabled.
Which would give her another month. I got you. Even though there wasn't a formal written request.
However, at some point, we're still going to have to bring this back up.
I understand.
So.
Whether we do that tonight or next week or next month, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Has she contacted her supervisor, who would be Mrs. Esser?
She did email her, and she has not heard back from her. Well, what she heard back from her was that she was out of town. And she did, today again, try to call, her supervisor, and there's nobody's in today.
Okay, so if everyone understands, if we vote to untable, we are in essence defeating the motion.
I fear, Mr. Stell, that we may be violating some HIPAA and some personnel issues that should be discussed in executive session, that we need to act on Mr. Gilman's motion to return from the table, the motion that we tabled last time. If that's defeated, then we move on. If that's carried, then we go on to Dr. Schmeezing's recommendation to follow the contract. Now, Robert's Rules of Order, that's your field.
Understand? Board members understand where we are? Okay. Mr. Davis, roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Sal?
No.
Mr. Shellbarger?
No.
Mrs. Voorhees?
Next item, please, Dr. Schmidt.
Move on to informational items. The principals at the primary school, elementary school, and intermediate school did look at times along with Kim Sutter, the transportation supervisor. And it looks like for next year, we are going to adjust the start times of the school year by about 5 minutes. The big change is going to be the drop-off and pickup of the students. Instead of being 2 drop-off times and 2 pickup times, all the students will be dropped off at the primary building first, and then the remaining students at the elementary and intermediate students will be dropped off in one way second. And then in the afternoon, it will be 1 pickup at the primary school, and then 1 pickup at the elementary and intermediate school instead of running 2 different.
Apparently that has some support. Okay, would you care to enlighten us, Mrs. Voorhees?
Oh, it's just kind of a nightmare. It's coming in at different times. Sometimes you have to keep them in a contained area waiting for the next round of buses to come in and get them. It's not easy. I mean, it's just easier if you can get everybody handled at one time. So I think this is a good thing to do.
You'll probably see an average of an additional 20 minutes of actual teaching time happening every school day.
a nightmare I might add. His grandfather's dropping off little ones at the primary school in the morning. When all the mothers get it. Thank you, Dr. Schmeezing. Roll call, please. No roll call. Gotcha.
Just next, that we go into executive session.
Can I interject just a moment? I didn't act quickly enough when you went through Head Start. Something on the Head Start report on page, item, on the second page, at the very top, the director is asking for board approval of one policy. Is there a policy before us in this document?
No, at this time, there is not.
Okay, it has to do with physical exam requirement. If I look down then to the, I think, fourth page, titled Mercer County Head Start Policies and Procedures. That's not in there. Some of those stuff here darker to me, but I'm not sure if they are. She's done a Amy's not here, is she?
She is not.
Okay, I just want to make sure we weren't overlooking something that they need to be official vote on there. And then before we go to executive session, I wondered if we would, shortly discuss board policy 1016.5.
Could you explain what that is?
It has to do with the consent agenda, that the board may use that. I'm wondering if there is a rationale as to why we fixed something that wasn't broke and going back to the item per item.
That was my request, Mrs. Piper, and the reason I did was because I thought that there were large blocks that we were actually skipping over that were very relevant at the last meeting. Obviously, this is a little bit too lengthy, and Mr. Davis and I already had a discussion about maybe having a compromise between the two agendas.
Okay, but as I read policy, it's the board, and not necessarily just one person making that decision. I just wanted to know if we all felt that going back to the consent agenda, at least modify in form. Either way, I just felt it was something that we should all have an opportunity to have.
Anything else? We're going to go into executive session. You're welcome to stay if we have an announcement afterwards, we're not sure. And executive session, we have to discuss why we're going into executive session. Dr. Schmeeding?
Right, we have matters of employment that we're going to discuss, as well as preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions.
So moved.
Second.
Matt, Lloyd?
Yeah. Mr. Davis, roll call, please.
Mr. Gilmore?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. South?
Yes.
Mr. Schallenberger?
Yes.
Mrs. Voorhees?